Hello and welcome to another edition of 41 Files from 41 Action News. We're glad to have you with us today, as always, and especially when we get to talk about food. Anytime we can steal a little bit from Due Diligence and not let them be the only podcast that talks food, we enjoy that, and we're talking food today on 41 Files. I'm joined, as always, by digital producer Sam Hartle. Hi, Sam.
Good morning. It's always a struggle on my running routes when I have to run by a barbecue restaurant.
Well, yeah. And I mean, just the strength you have to run by a barbecue restaurant, I would not put that on my route.
It's actually the motivation to finish the run, so I have something to look forward to.
I can go in and get some pulled pork or something like that. And then joining us on the phone from Visit KC is Derek Klaus. Hi, Derek.
Hey there. Thanks for having me on the show.
So we're having you on because at the beginning of the podcast today, you heard a story that I did a couple of nights ago about the new app from Visit KC called the Kansas City BBQ Experience. Tell us about how this app got started and where the idea came from, all that good stuff.
Yeah, obviously barbecue is a way of life in Kansas City, and our visitors flock from around the country and want to experience that themselves. So it really was bred out of necessity because our visitors coming to town, whether they're family travelers or they're business attendees, maybe they're going to a convention, they're interested to know what barbecue restaurants around the corner, what's the best places to check out, what's the story behind all these restaurants. And so it's a question we get a lot from our visitors, and we knew that there was a thirst and a hunger, if you will, pun intended, for all this barbecue information. So we wanted to fill that need.
Well, it's absolutely overwhelming as a new person. As I was telling you, I'm a new guy to Kansas City. I've only been here for about a year, and obviously, barbecue is on the marquee, so to speak, whenever you talk about our city. But as someone who was new to it, trying to figure out, okay, where do I go? What's the best spot? And then the cavalcade of answers I was getting to that question based on who I spoke to, and it's not just where to go, but you get answers like, well, do you like brisket, or are you more of a sandwich guy? What are you looking for as far as when you there's so many ways to answer that question that you need a lot of help and a lot of guidance figuring out where you're going to find your favorite barbecue.
No, that's exactly right. We make a joke here at Visit KC that if you ask 10 Kansas Cityans what their favorite barbecue restaurant is, you could very well get 10 very different answers.
And maybe start a fight, probably.
Exactly. It's one of those things you're not supposed to bring up in a dinner topic if you're not able to hold up your end of the bargain. But you're right. It is kind of intimidating at first because there's more than 100 barbecue restaurants sprinkled around Kansas City, and that makes us the home of more restaurants per capita in the barbecue category than anywhere else in the world. And that's something that we're really proud of. And with new places like Q39 and Char Bar opening, it's showing that there definitely is room for new, interesting takes on, our trademark cuisine.
Well, I think, Derek and Sam, I think one of the interesting things is, as somebody who's lived in Kansas City now for more than 20 years, people will ask me, well, what's my favorite barbecue? And I'm hesitant to reply because I haven't tried all the barbecue restaurants in town. Everybody tries, the Jack Stacks and the Arthur Bryant's and Gates and stuff like that. But there's so much more barbecue, whether it's RC's or Woodyard or you name it, Rosedale, that I'm always hesitant to give an official recommendation. And so I know that Visit KC is geared toward providing a resource for people who are coming into the community. But I think in this particular app, it's also pretty valuable for people who live in Kansas City too.
No, that's exactly right. Because truthfully, 100, it's really hard to keep track of where you've been and where you want to go. So that was the antithesis for creating this, is so that people could cross off the list of those places they know they need to go. They probably hear people talking about it a lot, or they've seen it on TV, diners, drive-ins, and dives, places like that. But also, hey, I like pork. Who's known for that? Where should I go for that? Or I want to go to all the barbecue restaurants that have been around for more than 50 years. We call that our Founders Trail. So there are some themed trails that you can tackle one by one, earn badges and bragging rights along the way, chronicle your journey on social and through the app. And it's just a fun way to bring, the food lovers and barbecue lovers of Kansas City here and abroad together.
I'll admit to using the Untapped app on my phone to maybe kind of help me remember what beers I've had through the course of my beer tour. What was kind of the benchmark, or what was a good example of a previous app that you guys were like, hey, let's have BBQ Kcb that?
You hit the nail on the head. my team and I are big fans of Untapped. We've experienced some of that with Kansas City's awesome brewery scene, but we realized that there was no one-stop shop for Kansas City barbecue. The Kansas City Star did a list a few years ago, and we started reaching out, and there's a blogger that is really popular in the barbecue theme area, and his name is Ryan Cooper. He's with the Barbecue Tourist, and he just is a fan of barbecue in his free time, and he created like a Google map. And so working with him, and then working with people like R.D. Davis, who's the grandfather of Kansas City barbecue, or at least the living grandfather, Jill Silva and Carolyn Wells of the Barbecue Society, we really wanted to pull together all of these great minds and do a listening tour of what should be in this app and what people should expect, and we wanted to do it right. So measure twice and cut the brisket once, if you will.
How long have you guys been working on the project?
This has been in the works it's been nearly a year now, but truthfully, the last 6 or 7 months in working with Propaganda 3, who's a great local firm, they do apps for people like the Kansas City Irish Fest and Boulevardia and Restaurant Week. So they are a great local company that we're really excited to do all these features with.
When I did the story, Tony in your office was telling me when I interviewed her for this story, she was saying that there was not really a requirement for these restaurants to be on the app other than that they are a barbecue restaurant, because it's really trying to get literally everyone in the metro area on this app so people know about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of, we're welcoming everyone to the table, if you will, because we feel that there's those smaller, off the beaten path hidden gems that you need to experience just as much. You need to go to Woodyard and see where most of the barbecue restaurants in town are getting their wood. You need to go to Slaps. You need to go to BB's Lawnside, or maybe on the Boulevard you need to go to Danny Edwards. So we're really hoping to push people to those off the beaten path, awesome new emerging barbecue restaurants. I went to Scott's Kitchen a couple weeks ago, and that's closer towards the airport. And that was an awesome new barbecue place that's in my top 10 easily.
I have to shout out to our 41 Action News reporter, Charlie Keegan. Charlie is my desk mate here at work. Our desks sit right next to each other where we face each other. And I was telling him about this app and getting ready to do the story, and I was trying to stump him. And I was just pulling up the list of different trails and reading off names of restaurants that I had never heard of. And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, my buddy." And now Charlie is a native Kansas City, and he grew up here, went to high school here, so he's tried a lot of them. But I was unable to stump him. All the ones that I came up with, he was saying either he had been there and tried it, or knew someone who swears by that barbecue. And that to me is really exciting, because I've had my few that I've tried here. I'm nowhere near the full 100. But a year into being a Kansas City resident, I've tried several different ones, and I have the ones that I really like so far. But the idea that there are that many out there to try, the OCD in me who loves checking off lists is super excited about the prospect of having a full list of great food that I can literally check off one at a time with all the places I've been to. And it's got to be exciting for people that have never tried all these and have lived here for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, consider it your barbecue bucket list. And food pilgrimages are a thing. We see that our end at Visit KC is that, there's few cities that really can claim a cuisine as their own. I mean, you should have Chicago deep dish, and you have those Philly cheesesteaks. But truly, we're noticing people coming through our front doors and flying into KCI and staying at our hotels. Why did you come? Oh, we came here to try all the great barbecue. So we knew there was a need there, and we're really excited to fulfill that need.
Honestly, for the people who are already here in Kansas City to have another local perspective on this, the launch of this in December kind of paves the way a little bit, and is perfect timing for KC Restaurant Week that comes up in early January, which is a highlight, I think, of the culinary. One of the highlights, I think, of the culinary scene in Kansas City.
Oh, I agree completely, and we're really excited that that's all. Also operated under Visit KC. So January 11th through 20th, it comes back for its 10th year. Really excited to support the Boys and Girls Clubs of Kansas City with those dollars. But a lot of barbecue restaurants, if you want to, kill two birds with one stone, are participating in Restaurant Week too. So Blind Box Barbecue, County Road, Ice House down in Power and Light, a lot of the new great barbecue places are participating in that as well.
The other great thing about this app too that Jill Silva mentioned whenever we spoke to her about this was because the prospect of being able to know not just the food you're searching for, because there are certain places, and I don't mean this as a negative, but even though it sounds that way, there are certain barbecue places that I wouldn't necessarily call family spots, where you want to go and sit down with the whole. They're more of a live music scene, a beer kind of scene, more of a bar mentality, which is fine, and there's absolutely a reason, a niche for that. But it's good to be able to search through and say, no, I want to be able to take my kids here. I'd like to be able to look around and see if this is more of a family atmosphere. If I'm going to have to drive way out of the way to get there, I don't want to take my family. I'd rather do this on a date. It's good to be able to look at that aspect of barbecue as well.
Yeah. So let me turn the tides. What are your guys' favorite barbecue restaurants in
Oh
town?
my gosh, he went there with the question, Sam. He went there with the question, Sam.
Jack Stack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to go Joe's so far. There's been some really, really great food, and I will do the answer that a lot of other people do, of that there are specific menu items at other places that I really love that I've tried. But overall favorite restaurant experience, food, everything so far is Joe's. But there are many, many left for me to try.
Well, I think you're right that the menus are really diverse, especially now with everyone's dietary preferences changing. You know, they have portobello mushroom sandwiches at Joe's Kansas City.
Yeah,
now. They have
the Z-Man with portobello on it instead.
Yeah, they have jackfruit at Char Bar in Westport. So.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of offerings there, especially for vegans and vegetarians now.
Well, I think one of the things I'm hopeful of. I think it's phenomenal that Kansas City is capitalizing on being the barbecue capital of the world. But to me, Kansas City is also a more robust food scene than just barbecue.
Absolutely.
And so, for my dining dollar, I'm still trying to visit all the locally owned establishments, whether they're barbecue or not.
Yep.
And so. Ultimately, what that means is it takes me a long time to get to a location for the second time because I'm still sampling everything for the first time. But ultimately, it's still a great way to experience the culinary scene and the food scene in Kansas City.
What we're telling you is we want another app for all the other restaurants is basically what we're trying to get across to you here, Derek.
Yeah, I hear you. Culinary travel and just culinary tourism in your own backyard. I mean, I think that's one of the best ways to experience a city's culture. And you hit the nail on the head that some of these places are a little bit more dirty joints. Some of the places your feet are going to slide when you walk in the door, Arthur Bryant's, and part of the charm is waiting in line at Joe's Kansas City,
Sure.
or listening to the music at BB's Lawnside and doing the jazz brunch there. It's a fantastic time.
Now, see, BB's Lawnside was one that I'd never heard of before. It was on the trail we went on in the story, and I'm 100% going back. Just looking at their specials, I was like, man, I want to come back on a Friday.
Definitely go on a Friday night, get some live music like Derek was saying.
And they have this thing there. I think it's called the Barbecue Sundae. That
Yes.
it is. Yeah, it's barbecue in a mason jar, essentially layered, and it is sensational. But people's eyes pop out when they see it.
We didn't ask you. You didn't answer. What's your favorite spot? You asked us.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you went there. If I could, I would take a little bit of everybody's menu and put it together. But my answer, I'm a pulled pork guy, so I really, really like a pork Z-Man at Joe's.
Okay.
But then there's good things at everybody. Yammer pie at Gates is fantastic. I really like the barbecue wings at County Road Ice House downtown.
Okay.
But then every now and then you got to go to Woodyard and get something there, or go Scott's Kitchen's brisket was really, really good.
That's what's great about all these spots is literally every time you go, you can try something. They all have enough, we just do it this way kind of spot too. So you can go and do the traditional, no, I'm a rib guy. I want ribs everywhere I go. Or I like to try whatever. I'm going to go for it. And they all have that kind of thing too. That's really cool.
If you ate barbecue every day, it would take you 3.5 months to get through every restaurant.
That
in Kansas
sounds
City.
like my spring, I think, is
Right.
what's.
We're recording this during the lunch hour.
Oh, God, killing me.
My stomach is turning actually right now.
No, after we got through with the tour, I shot that story in the late morning doing the tour, and after we got through, I absolutely had to have barbecue for lunch. I was just like, well, this is not even an option. So I called my wife and said, hey, where do you want to meet for barbecue specifically? Because we got to go and get some food.
What we
Awesome.
need to do is I'm a big fan of the Bon Appetit YouTube series.
Yeah.
And it's not an original idea, but they have this guy. He goes to New York and samples all. He eats like 24 single serving pizza. Cheese pizza, or New York cheese pizza, or whatever. Then he went to Philly, did the same thing with the cheesesteak. He went to Buffalo with the buffalo wings, and then he went to Minneapolis for the Juicy Lucy Burger, which is a northern thing. We need to find a way to get a hold of the Bon Appetit people and have them do the same thing for
us
for barbecue. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think that you made a great point. That's a good idea. Let's make it happen.
Well, Derek, we couldn't thank you enough for being here, and also thanks to Visit KC for putting this app together. It's already a big hit in our newsroom. I feel like it's going to be a big hit across the city and across even people that don't live here. So thank you for your time today and for putting this together for us.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Let's get lunch.
Hey, thanks, Derek.
So that's another edition of 41 Files where we got to talk food, and now we're super hungry. And, when I first moved here, Sam, it was supposed to be, I'm going to call her out, it was supposed to be Lindsay Shively's job to take me on kind of a barbecue tour.
Right.
And the difference between Lindsay Shively, one of the many differences between Lindsay Shively and I is I can eat a lot more food than she can. And I think not like I'm talking about in quantity of sitting down and eating and wanting to go every day and get barbecue. I think that she was like, I can't go to barbecue with you every day and continue to be on television and look the right way.
Right.
So I want to continue on the tour and keep trying some of these spots.
What would it be like if you had barbecue delivered in a box lock?
In the box lock.
Because that would be something that you'd really want to have secured.
I tell you what, if we can ever get that particular device to work, I'll tell you, and I'll have some barbecue delivered to my home. But I really enjoyed doing the story. And again, the app is called the Kansas City BBQ Experience. It's free if you want to try it on your phone. It's from Visit KC. Give that a look and see what you think. Thanks for listening to 41 Files. We'll see you next week.
See ya.